What happens when a CFI is so biased in their report? Hi, I'm Lauren, an attorney in Colorado that affordably helps folks navigate the divorce and custody process. So the CFI is a child and family investigator, and sometimes when there are kids involved, either in a divorce or obviously a custody case, the court appoints this person as a neutral third party to do an investigation and make a report on what is in the children's best interest, usually when it comes to parenting time or decision making. CFIs are supposed to remain neutral and do a full investigation of both of the parents, oftentimes the children if they're of appropriate age, research and look at each party's environment, talk to collateral witnesses, anybody who might have some information on what could be in this child or children's best interest. The CFI then submits that report to the court, and the court considers it. The court isn't bound by the recommendation that the CFI makes, but oftentimes because CFIs do such a thorough investigation, they really do give the court a good sense of what might be in the children's best interest. Of course, CFIs are human, and sometimes they do submit reports that are biased. So when that happens, there are oftentimes two options. First, the party who the report is biased against may get a rebuttal CFI to do their own investigation. Of course, this means more time and money, but could be an option to show that the first report was really not neutral. The second option, and it could be a little bit more risky, is the CFI typically testifies during the hearing if the parents can't agree on a parenting plan based on the CFI's recommendation. So during their testimony, it could be drawn out how biased the CFI actually was in their conclusion. I had a case like this many years ago and was able to show the court that the CFI was really biased against my client. And some of the things that I looked at were the amount of time that the CFI spent with my client versus the other party or the other party's collateral witnesses. Some of the language that the CFI used in the report about my client versus the language that they would use about the other party. You could tell just by reading the language that the CFI just really didn't like my client. And drawing all of that out on cross-examination was really helpful. Even the court looked over at the CFI at one point and said, "You just don't like that client." The risk here is that the court is still going to make a decision. So even though the court may find that the CFI was biased against one of the parties, the judges are pretty smart and they can pull out the facts that are neutral to determine what's in the child's best interest. Sometimes the court decides that even though the CFI was biased, the recommendation is in fact in the child's best interest. That outcome can be really frustrating and heartbreaking. So if you find yourself in this situation, it is best to get the advice of an attorney so you can decide how to approach a potentially biased CFI report and be able to present your case to the court in a way that you feel is much more neutral.